begin with the word CHAUPAAI.
Right. Chaupai is a combination of two words. It comes from the Awadhi Bhojpuri tradition, where our ancient laborers came from. So chau as in four, ek, two, teen, char. Pai comes from pao, pai meaning foot, with the same root as pod in English. So chau pai means 4 feet in the world of poetry. Like we have sonnets, which are 14 lines. So these are essentially chau pai, 4 feet or 4 lines.
बरसा ऋतु रघुपति भगत तुलसी साल सुदास रामा तुलसी साल सुदास
Of a piece of a poem, lines that make up the Ramcharitramanas, I guess, and the Hanuman Chalisa.
Okay. We move on to another Trinidad Bhojpuri word, KAAGAJ, which was reminiscent of an old Kishore Kumar song, Kora Kaagaz Tha.
कोरा कागज था ये मन मेरा.
Yes, and I guess just like we explored the word Najar and Nazar is the same context. Is it Hindi becomes Ja in Bhojpuri. Yeah, because I guess Bhojpuri sticks to its Prakrit roots, whereas Persian-Arabic vocabulary in the Hindi would have maintained the Za and the Fa. So yeah, it becomes Kagaj in our Trinidad Bhojpuri and Bhojpuri in general, and Eastern Hindi vernaculars. Yeah, it means Kagaz or Kagaj in our Trinidad Bhojpuri means a paper, manuscript. It could be used in this context. I'll give you one of my interviews where the lady had said, Jab hamar kagaj pura bhail ba, ta hum chalab. So when my paper meaning certification or whatever time allotted to me in paper as a metaphor has arrived, then I will go, in meaning that adas gari hum chalab. She said that when the paper said at 10 o'clock she will just leave me and die, she would make peace with her master. So that is the actual statement I got from my interview. Jab hamar kagaj, my paper, my, metaphors, what was written.
And could we also use kagaj to refer to like newspaper?
No, it have a special word for newspaper.
Let's move on to our Trinidad Bhojpuri phrase. Chalo man, Ganga, Jamuna, TEER. Let me just run through some of the messages, and this was the response. Udit says a devotional song about a pilgrimage to the rivers Ganga and Jamuna. Let's go to Ganga and Jamuna to offer prayers, taking pledge to go on Tirat. We also have Chaloman, refers to the mind. We are taking a holy bath in Prayag, or the confluence of Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati, signifying a cleansing of our mind. What say you?
Right, so yeah, this is the general sense, but I look at it linguistically as the actual meaning, right? The people wanted the metaphor. And what I find is that eventually the metaphor survives, but the actual words translated wrongly to explain that same as metaphor. Chalo man, come on, mind, right? Because mana japo or man bolo means mind, please chant. So you're commanding your mind to do it in prayer. Well, chant in Mago, right? So chalo man. Come on, mind, Ganga, Jamuna, TEER. Right, so we know Ganga, which is the Ganges, Jamuna, right, which is Yamuna, in Hindi, Ja becomes Ya. TEER. TEER is the side of, the bank of, like say Kinare. So, TEER, on the side of, on the bank of, is a bank or a border. TEER, right? Jamuna TEER is the bank of the Jamuna. Yamuna TEER is the bank of the Ganges. A TEER is not really a commonly used word, right? In this speaking Bhojpuri, they'll say Nadia Kinare, so Jamuna Kinare. So Kinare is the word that's used for on the side of.
All right. Moving on to another Trinidad Bhojpuri word, Singhaasan. Asan. That's it, right? Singhasan. An area prepared for one who is learned and teaches the holy text. A throne for kings as such, and the Bollywood period movies. So Singh, lion, Asan, seat, the seat where the lion sits, the lion being king of the jungle. An elevated seat for the Vyas.
Yeah. So it really means throne, right? Because I know the references when they talk about as a child, when I would hear the stories from my grandparents, as well as going to jug and sit down and listen upon it. Yeah, I was one of those children who listened upon it. It was quite interesting. So they used to say the Singhasan of Hastinapur, right? So I would know any reference that would be Singhasan of Hastinapur, which would be the throne of Hastinapur, right? And yes, the reference is correct. So it's two words come together. So Singha, which means lion in Sanskrit, because it's shared in Persian. Singha, and it means sing. S-I-N-G-H comes from that. Singha, it means lion. And what we tend to say in India, Singh is usually a Punjabi Sikh name. In Trinidad, it has come down from that tradition, which was prior to just being only to Punjabi Sikhs as well as Punjabi Hindus. Singha means lion. Asan means seat. We know this from yoga, right? So Singhasan becomes the seat of the lion. And I guess the reference goes there exactly to the fact that, yeah, the lion is the king of the jungle. So they take that metaphor and it became to mean throne or the main seat of the monarch in a particular dominion. And then, yes, in our context, it means seat where the pandit sits now to deliver the pravachan, words from the text to explain to the public.
And as usual, we wrap up the week with a food-related word, and the word chosen, SAAG, as in bhaji. Now, this was a tricky word because most people had no idea what SAAG was. Those outside of Trinidad had lots to say. So Karun says in Fiji people say bhaji, but it's spinach. In South Africa they say bhaji. Viraj, however, says he doesn't think that the word was used in Fiji or Trinidad dialect, but he knows it to be the equivalent of what we say in Bhojpuri as bhaji, or leafy green vegetables. So is it like when we say bhaji in Trinidad, it's like you refer to any type of green leafy veggies, or is it a specific type of bhaji?
My conversations with Dr. Peggy Mohan, I get to realize more and more within the modern Indian context. I mean, she has lived in India for roughly or more than 40 years. So basically, she knows these things from India, so they refer to something specifically. They SAAG. The general meaning is anything leafy. Yes, it could be used as in context of a synonym for bhaji. But as far as I know, my conversations with her, bhaji has its own classifications, right? You have dashing bush, you have mustard, you have chaurai, you have
Pak choy.
and all these, right? So based on that evolution, I'm looking now the context of what SAAG actually means in a Trinidad context. I never grew up knowing the word SAAG, but obviously Dr. Mohan referred to what specifically is SAAG in India and look at it and say, oh, well, this is this in Trinidad. It's not in the realm of just general bhaji. It's a certain type of bhaji, and I actually need to pinpoint. So I've reached mustard bhaji for the time being. But I guess your listeners could look at Caribbean Hindustani for the classification of all the bhajis. As far as I know, this word SAAG was not used, but what I realized within the diaspora, because of the link with India, and SAAG is more a Delhi kind of thing. You wouldn't really hear it in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, where our ancestors would have come from.
And there you have it, new additions to our Trinidad Bhojpuri dictionary. Thank you all so much for contributing via Facebook as well as on the radio show. I do appreciate interacting with you, and we hope we can keep this up for another week. Trinidad Bhojpuri Words and Phrase is a KDC production in collaboration with Caribbean Hindustani. If you'd like to get in touch with Dr. Visham Bhimull, here's how you do so.
Yeah, so Caribbean Hindustani, which is on Facebook as well as YouTube, and then there's CaribbeanHindustani.org. All available online.
I'm Karen Das. Catch you for the next weekly recap.